Rotarians, dignitaries, and guests, please welcome back to the stage District Governor-elect Darrell Key.
I'm going to do this in my best Nebraskan accent. It's now my distinct pleasure to introduce the keynote speaker this evening, Diane Kessel Knight. Diane is a third-generation Rotarian who joined Rotary in Addison, Texas in 1990 and is currently a member of the Rotary Club of Fort Collins Breakfast in Colorado. Like some of you, she has served as club president twice. Diane was also district governor in 2004-2005. She is a major donor to the Rotary Foundation and a member of the Paul Harris Society and Rotary International Foundation Bequest Society. In 1998, Diane led a group study exchange team to Sao Paulo, Brazil. She has also a passion for RILA and has been active in 3 international RILA conferences and chaired the first Young RILA program for middle school students in District 5440-5450. She has a special interest in training Rotarians at all levels, having trained and spoken at many PETS conferences. She has also trained district governors nominee and elect at zone institutes, and as an international training leader for incoming district governors in 2010 and 2011. In one of her most memorable Rotary experiences, Diane participated in the Climb for Children 2000, a project of the Evergreen Rotary Foundation, where she raised over $20,000 and climbed Mount Kilimanjaro, the highest point in Africa, to benefit a hospital in Arusha, Tanzania. Diane was honored with Rotary International's Service Above Self Award in 2002, and when not involved in Rotary activities, Diane is a leadership coach and consultant. And in her spare time, she loves to play golf, ski, and travel with her Rotarian husband, Paul. Please rise and join me in welcoming Diane Kessel Knight.
I am delighted to be here with you this weekend to share some thoughts with you as you embark on this great journey as a club president. First, let me tell you why I chose Aretha Franklin's popular song as my walk-on song. First, it should be obvious that I have a lot of RESPCT for all of you who are lined up to lead your Rotary clubs in this next year, especially for those repeat offenders, and you know who you are, who like me are having deja vu right now, and for the cast of thousands that has gathered here, all your leadership of this event and your past district governors and all of those who have gathered here to help you have a successful year. But the song also has special meaning for me because it reminds me of a pledge that I made when I got into Rotary leadership. And that pledge was to have more fun in Rotary. And I've heard us talk about this all day long, heard some of you talk about that in your breakout sessions this morning. And when I became club president for the first time in the Rotary Club of Golden, my goal was to have more fun in my club because I thought it had gotten a little bit staid and boring. Well, I must have done a really good job because the club president after me decided it was her goal to restore decorum to my Rotary Club. I mean it, I kid you not. So I remembered that pledge when I became district governor. And I thought, how can I help my club presidents inject more fun and energy into their Rotary meetings? Well, right before my year as district governor, of course, I went to the district conference of my predecessor. And on Friday night, he had a hypnotist as the entertainment. And of course, he called on volunteers to get up to the stage. Well, there's a serious side of me, and that's a big part of me. And the serious side of me said, you cannot get up on that stage and make a complete fool of yourself. No way you're doing that. The other side of me said, you know, you said you were going to have a good time. And if you get up there, maybe you'll show you can laugh at yourself and make a fool of yourself, and it'll be okay. So that side of me is the side that jumped up on the chair in front of that audience. Now, truth be told, I knew when I was going up there that there was really no way that they were going to hypnotize me, because somebody had tried to hypnotize me before and it had not worked. So I wasn't really worried about it. Well, my husband tells the tale that I was one of 3 people who was hypnotized, and I sat down in my chair, and when the hypnotist snapped his fingers, I jumped up out of my chair, ran up to the podium, grabbed the mic, and lip sank to Aretha Franklin's R-E-S-P-E-C-T. Sure. 550 of my closest Rotary friends never let me forget it, and it became my kind of official walk-on song for everything I did after that as district governor. You know, I had many more opportunities to live into that pledge of having fun with Rotary, and I'll tell you one more story about that. So I found out I was going to be going to our oldest Rotary Club in Denver, Club 31, on the day of the club president's birthday. And all of a sudden, it dawned on me that a friend of mine had just been to a costume party and had dressed as Marilyn Monroe. I emailed my friend and I said, would you send me your Marilyn Monroe stuff? So 2 days later, here comes a box. It's got 3 blonde wigs, it has a pair of long black gloves, a pair of long white gloves, it has earrings, it has false eyelashes, it has red lipstick, and it had everything but the mole in the box. So now I have a decision to make, and I'm vacillating greatly. Because like the serious side of me is going, you must be kidding. You're not going to that Rotary Club and singing Happy Birthday, Mr. President, dressed as Marilyn Monroe. And the fun side of me is saying, you said you were going to have more fun in Rotary. So I called the club secretary, because it's his job to determine everything that's going to happen every single second of that Rotary Club meeting. And I said, are you thinking about doing anything for Bob for his birthday? And he said, no, what did you have in mind? He said, Diane, you absolutely have to do it. So that day I wore a black dress, and I had my Rotary blazer, and I had my Rotary scarf, and I went and did the board meeting, and then I got up on the dais, ready to have lunch, and at the appointed minute, I excused myself and told the guy that was going to introduce me that I would be right back. I went back behind the stage. Somebody helped me take off my blazer and my scarf, and I had the black dress, so I just put on the black gloves, and I put on a blonde wig, and I didn't have time for the false eyelashes, but I did get the mole. And when I tell you I didn't have to worry about being breathy, I was so nervous, but the secretary said, let me tell you something. He said in 1947, Mae West, and this is a true story, came to that Rotary Club. And she looked out at the audience and she said, this is just my kind of meeting. All men and all hungry. He said, thanks to the wonders of modern science, we have another Hollywood celebrity here to wish our president happy birthday. Snuck out there. I was so breathy. I was so scared. But the guy, Bob Kapelke, a judge in town, and hysterical, and a little bit shorter than me. As I approached that podium, he looked up at me and he said, oh my God, you'll do anything. So, you know, one of the ways that Rotary opens opportunities is to have more fun with Rotary. And so if you're a person who wants to have more fun in Rotary and you're not necessarily predisposed toward that, grab some friends, get them to help you, and be sure that you're intentional about it. And if somebody else needs to restore decorum to your Rotary Club after your year is over, so be it. Thanks. Rotary also opens opportunities to go places and do things you never dreamed you would go and do. I hope you'll indulge me tonight as I tell you a little bit about my own Rotary journey and how two particular Rotary opportunities really just totally changed my life. It's 3:30 in the morning, and the only thing that illuminates my way as I put one foot in front of the other is the light from my headlamp. It's a struggle to reach the top of Mount Kilimanjaro. I've been preparing for over a year, and it's still hard. Now it's 5:45, and the sunlight creeps over Mount Meru, which is the neighboring mountain, as you see here. And as I look up in front of me, I can see the goal in my sight, and I know that there's an end to the struggle. There's an opportunity to reach the top, to feel the excitement of the accomplishment, to look down from the highest point in Africa, and for the pain to subside. But for millions around the world, there is no such light. There is no end to the struggle, and the pain of poverty and hunger and disease linger on with no end in sight. But for over 115 years, Rotarians have joined hands around the world for the benefit of those who don't have food to eat, fresh water to drink, a roof over their heads, all of those things you and I take for granted every single day. As an organization, we've accomplished things that were truly thought to be impossible, and we've come to demonstrate the words of our founder, Paul Harris, who said the power of combined effort knows no limitations. And we've done much of this work through the work of our Rotary Foundation, which provides light and hope to the world. You know, I remember vividly my first several years as a Rotarian. My consistent but relatively modest contributions to our Rotary Foundation were the price I paid for being a Rotarian. They were an expectation of membership. They were somewhat of an abstract obligation. And then life, slowly but surely, changed for me in terms of my commitment to the Rotary Foundation. First, back in 1997, one of my friends in the Rotary Club of Golden suggested that I interview to be a group study exchange team leader to Madras, India. For those newer to Rotary, Group Study Exchange was a program where a Rotarian team leader took 4 non-Rotarians to another country for a month of cultural and vocational exchange. I remember how excited I was to call my father and tell him about my decision to interview for this responsibility, as he had taken a group study exchange team to Brisbane, Australia. Quite honestly, my dad shocked me. This was a man, a great Rotarian, a past district governor, who was tutoring 4th graders in math 3 days before he ended up in the hospital at the age of 86 and died 2 weeks later. And yet he said, "Di, the problems in India are so immense. I don't know how one person can possibly make a difference." I applied anyway, but maybe, fortuitously, I didn't get that particular assignment. So I watched with great respect as my friend and team leader, past District Governor Matt Madsen, led this team of non-Rotarians, one of whom came back and spearheaded a fundraising effort to purchase the electrical equipment needed for a home for abused and abandoned women in India. Lisa, Matt's team member, clearly wasn't intimidated by the magnitude of problems there. In fact, it was probably Lisa or someone like her who said, "If you've ever thought you were too small to make a difference, you've probably never spent the night with a mosquito." And then I was selected to lead the next group study exchange team to São Paulo, Brazil. Now, I thought I was prepared for international travel. I'd studied in France as a college student. I'd traveled in Europe as a young adult with my friends, and I thought my horizons were sufficiently expanded to be able to handle this trip to Brazil. But I wasn't prepared for this. This is the first hospital outside of the United States that I had ever been in. And while it was clean, it desperately needed the kind of equipment that we in a developed country would easily throw away in favor of newer and more advanced equipment. This was one of my first of many lessons in perspective. When I returned home, I made sure that my club participated in a matching grant project to bring needed equipment to this hospital in Santadelia, Brazil. Our club funds were matched by funds from our districts and then the Rotary Foundation. As a member of a group study exchange team, and I know many of you in this room can relate to this, I was on the receiving end of so much generosity and loving kindness during that trip. It felt so good to be able to give something back to just one of those small towns that I had visited. And I brought back other matching grant projects for other clubs in my district to get involved in, so the ripple effect of that program could be felt throughout my district. My donations to the Rotary Foundation were no longer an abstract obligation. They were a real commitment to bring light and hope to others less fortunate than I am. And then, of course, as it sometimes happens, opportunity knocked again. It started off innocently enough. I did a makeup meeting at a club in Evergreen, Colorado. Mark Williams was the presenter. He said, "Picture yourself here at the top of Mount Kilimanjaro." He was trying to recruit a dozen people to go on this trip. Each of those people would be responsible for raising $20,000 for a children's hospital in Arusha. Because at the time, 1 in 10 children died before their 5th birthday of preventable childhood diseases. The plan was that each of those people would raise $20,000 for almost $250,000. And back then, when multiplied by matching grants at our district and at RI, that money was turning into almost $1 million. To give you a sense of perspective, and if there's any hospital administrators in the room, you'll appreciate this, they ran that hospital for about 50,000 patients a year, members of the Maasai tribe, for a budget of $350,000 a year. So think of what our money could do. There was only one problem. I was not a mountain climber. I had climbed a mountain called Mount Massive, which is one of the many 52 14ers we have in Colorado. When I had been in Texas, I was 30 years old. I was a member of an executive Outward Bound team, and I had tried to climb Mount Massive. I got to the top, but I had a guy on either side of me for the last 4 hours of that climb saying, "It's okay, Diane, just one more step." So that was kind of my idea of what I was as a mountain climber. But I decided I could certainly write a check to help someone else raise their $20,000. But 2 weeks later, in my own Rotary Club in Golden, the same gentleman comes and does the same program, with one twist. He said, "For those of you who aren't mountain climbers," and my ears perked up, he said, "there will be a group of non-mountain climbers going to the Indian Ocean." And I raised my hand and volunteered that day. You know, Tanzania is on the Indian Ocean, and I thought that'd be kind of cool. I volunteered, and then I had a very practical problem. I pictured myself trying to raise $20,000, writing a solicitation letter, and saying, "Going to the beach, please send money." You know? It didn't seem to be quite as compelling as going to climb Mount Kilimanjaro for the benefit of children. So shortly thereafter, I was at home in Dallas with my family, and I told them what I was going to do. I was going to get a trainer, and I was going to climb Mount Kilimanjaro. And after all, what's the worst thing that could happen? Well, my dad went up, he went to his office, he pulled out the Dallas Morning News and showed me the front page article of 2 Germans that had just died climbing Mount Kilimanjaro. But I was determined. I trained for a year. I raised $22,000, and after 3.5 days of climbing, I made it to the top of Mount Kilimanjaro at 19,341 feet. Thank you. Now, you might think that moment would be the emotional high point of my trip, but it was only the literal high point. Going to the Ceylon Hospital that had been built and expanded with the help of Rotary, seeing some of the sights that I saw. There are many, many images that I still remember. This one is kind of seared in my memory. It was a child of about 8. He had broken his arm, And the medicine man in the bush put a cast on his arm and applied it when it was wet. And so when it dried, it constricted the blood flow, and they had to amputate the arm of this 8-year-old child. And I can't tell you how many stories like that I could relate to you. And then we went to a village called Losanoni, where I saw a story of Rotary and hope. This village had not seen a Caucasian, so our group was of interest to them. But the first thing that happened was I saw a child who, if they had x-rayed his legs, they would have looked like this. Because what was going on in that village was that there were 4 naturally occurring water sources into that village, and 2 of them had 32 parts per million of fluoride, which is 10 times the amount of acceptable fluoride flowing through that water. And so with the help of a $42,000 grant, I saw these children, one of whom had been to the Ceylon Hospital for orthopedic surgery to have those legs surgically repaired. And he took my hand and he led me up to where there was 2 new water sources coming into that village, thanks to a $42,000 grant from a Rotary Club in Minnesota. Now, I didn't have anything to do with that grant, but they took us to a small, empty room, which was their schoolroom, and they gave us the best they had to offer, which was roast goat and 7-Up, and expressed their tremendous gratitude for Rotary. And I cannot tell you the pride that I felt at that moment of being part of this great organization. And there are hundreds of moments like that, because 1.2 million Rotarians every day around the world tap into the resources of our Rotary Foundation. So many of you know this feeling because I know that your clubs are involved in international programs around the world. If you have been to a developing country and know to see the Rotary projects and know the feeling that I've described, would you raise your hand? Many of you know that feeling. Thank you, absolutely. And those of you who raised your hands, you know what I know, and that's how far our money can go in a developing country. I was given such a gift of that perspective when I went to Brazil, and then so many more lessons surfaced on this trip to Africa. And I have to tell you the one that sticks with me most. The chief of staff of the hospital that we helped to support was Dr. Mark Jacobson from Minnesota. He was the only Caucasian there. His goal was to train Tanzanian doctors throughout the country and bring them there. He and his wife, Linda, had raised 3 daughters. They were 12, 14, and 16 when I was there. They had just returned from their longest trip to the United States, where they'd been there for 6 months and the girls had actually gone to school. And Linda told us the story about taking her daughter when they first arrived to the Mall of the Americas. Just imagine that. She takes her to the Gap. She picks a sweater off of the sale table that's $39 and wants to buy it for the 16-year-old daughter, who says, "Mom, you know, that's more than the average African worker makes in a month. I don't really think I need that sweater, do you?" Found myself thinking, we'd live in a different kind of world if all of our 16-year-old children had the benefit of living in a developed country for any period of time. And what if every Rotarian had the chance to do the same? This gift of perspective is what changed my commitment to our Rotary Foundation in a profound way. It's a gift I try to share as often as I can, so I can try to encourage and inspire every Rotarian I meet to give something to our Rotary Foundation every year. It takes less than 30 cents a day to give at the $100 per year level. Of course, when you give your first $1,000, you're recognized as a Paul Harris Fellow. When you continue your giving, you're recognized as a multiple Paul Harris Fellow. And there are folks that commit to giving $1,000 a year to our Rotary Foundation, and they become members of the Paul Harris Society. I would like for those of you in the room who are members of the Paul Harris Society to please stand so we can thank you. When I realized all I had to do to become a member of the Paul Harris Society was give up my daily decaf Vente sugar-free vanilla 2 2 Splenda extra hot lattes. Yep, that little habit used to cost me $1,000 a year. And I haven't given them up entirely, but I've been able to skim enough off the top, so to speak, to be able to join the Paul Harris Society myself. We have so many believers of our Rotary Foundation in this room, and I thank you for your strong support. Those believers are proud, as I am, that our Rotary Foundation in 2016, 17, and 19 received the highest possible score of 100 from Charity Navigator for its strong financial health and commitment to accountability and transparency. So I personally know that my dollars are being wisely invested where they'll make a difference. I'm so lucky to have had these 2 life-changing experiences in other countries to cement my contributions to our Rotary Foundation. But many of you have your own Rotary stories much closer to home that you're passionate about. And it's these day in and day out activities where we have a chance to make a difference in our own communities that make us so proud to be Rotarians. And since a percentage of our foundation giving eventually comes back to our districts to be used as matching dollars, our districts can choose to support both local and international foundation projects. As a club president, how can you inspire your club Rotarians to either give to our foundation for the first time or become more generous supporters of our Rotary Foundation? So I have a couple of thoughts for you. First of all, are you leading by example? Are you a giver? And can you honor loved ones and make them Paul Harris Fellows to set the example for others? Bob Kopelke, I told you about, the president of the Rotary Club in downtown Denver, made his wife a Paul Harris Fellow on his first day as club president just to set the example for others. Can you recognize those who give? Can you make this a big deal in your Rotary Club and make it special and show people how much you appreciate them, as both Isaac and President-elect Holger talked about this morning? Prepare a story or 2 about why you're so passionate about our foundation, and invite others in your club that feel like you do to talk about why they feel so strongly about it. Use every opportunity to highlight the projects that your club is involved in. Do slideshows, do presentations, do a program in November at Foundation Month or anytime. Do a Rotary Minute. Take advantage of those opportunities. You will make people feel so proud to be Rotarians as you describe those projects to them. Appoint one of your most passionate foundation supporters as your club's Rotary Foundation chair. Have that person educate your members about what the Rotary Foundation does, not about the mechanics of how grants work. That is about as boring as watching paint dry and about as confusing as the 2000 presidential election here in Florida. Educate them as to why giving matters, about how the Rotary Foundation leverages our dollars and matching powers and makes a difference for people in our community and in the world. Together, as Holger talked about today, through Rotary and our Rotary Foundation, we can bring so much light and hope to the world. I'd like to close by telling you one more story, and that's about Ambrose. How often do you literally get to save a child's life? Ambrose is alive today because of his tenacity, the loving kindness of a group study exchange team, and just a little bit of synchronicity. 8-year-old Ambrose approached a member of an African GSE team at a crowded market in Kisumu in western Kenya. The team was only there by accident and had an hour before they had to catch their next flight. As it turns out, Ambrose had run away from his stepmother's home and had walked for 4 days until he arrived in Kisumu. When he offered his hand to a member of our group study exchange team, he found a warm smile and a caring heart, in spite of the fact that his skin was literally moving from parasites. As a result of this chance encounter, Ambrose was hospitalized with severe dehydration, malnutrition, and malaria. At one time near death, he enrolled in a school called Agape and was sponsored by the Group Study Exchange team member and her husband. Ambrose candle symbolizes the hope for his future, a future made possible by Rotary International and its foundation. Hope for a world where disease is defeated, where there is mutual respect for people of all races and faiths, where there is dignity and peace of mind, where conflict is settled with words and humanitarian actions, the kind of hope and light that our Rotary Foundation can bring. As Norman B. Rice, a former mayor of Seattle, once said, "Dare to reach out your hand into the darkness to pull another hand into the light." As Rotarians, as club presidents, when you inspire your club members to become more generous donors of our Rotary Foundation, that's exactly what you are going to do. Thank you, and God bless you.
Diane, thank you for joining us at Florida Pets this year. Please accept a certificate from us signifying a donation of $200 to the Rotary Foundation in your honor.
Thank you.
Diane, please don't go yet. We need your help. At this time, I'm going to ask John Medina to come up. John, are you in the house?
Thank you so much. My beautiful wife, Dee Dee, left her beautiful dress at home. And after 31 years of marriage, I realized that's really not funny. So I've enlisted the next most beautiful thing I could find, District Governor nominee Larry Kubiak. We're calling it the Beauty and the Beast. Seriously. Tonight's first raffle prize is a beautiful wooden carved pineapple bowl from Hawaii, where we're hosting our international convention. It was generously donated by PDG Bobby Bird, Meals of Hope, who is representing Meals of Hope in the House of Friendship. And so the first prize, the last four are 4002. 4002. 4002. Going once, twice. All right. Thank you. Next ticket, the last four are 3869. 3869. Bingo! All right, come on up, Evelyn. Good job. All right, Larry, you got to figure out which one is a bowl from Hawaii. You got it. Okay. Man, you're on top of things. Our second prize, we have a boxed wine opener and stopper set generously donated by Zach Hussein with pineapple. Pinnacle. Hawaii pineapple. The hospitality suites will be open. The last four are 5170. 5170. All right, come on up. Congratulations.
All right, and our last raffle item for tonight has been donated by Bob Agnew of the Jerry White Company, and this is a $30 gift certificate, and the winner is, the last four are 4407. Oh, we got a bingo in the back. There we go. Look at that. Okay, you want me to get off the phone? Okay. Okay.
We really have one more drawing. And this happens to be for a pair of Rotary pants.
Whoa.
And the lucky winner is Chris Wells. Chris, are you in the house?
Those pants certainly wouldn't have fit me anyway. Now, just a couple of thank yous, if I may. We'd like to record our thanks to Past District Governor A.J. Range and the University of Central Florida for kindly loaning us the camera equipment we're using in the general sessions again this year. So great thank you to them. And also thank you to Josh the Otter Child Water Safety, who provided the coffee at the breakout for yesterday's coffee break. So thank you to Josh the Otter. And now it's fun time.
No, wait a minute, we got one more drawing.
Oh, we got one more drawing, have we?
For the book.
Oh yeah, the book, of course. Okay, we're going to do a drawing for the book, apparently. And the lucky winner is Shane Moore. You have to be present to win it. Shane Moore, going once, twice. Next drawing. So the lucky winner is Pamela Anderson Stimpson.
A lot of PEs around.
Pamela Anderson Stimpson. Going once, going twice, gone again. Third time lucky. Nerissa Glickman. Nerissa Glickman?
Are you kidding me?
Are you sure this basket's not for another event? We've only got another 598 tickets. Okay, the next winner, or hopefully this time, Jesus Sanchez. Yay! You got the book? You know? Oh, then ask the auctioneer.
Wait a minute.
Okay.
First, I want to say I'm sorry, but I need to introduce past international president Barry Rassin.
Of course. Actually, we missed that. Yeah, John Silver, didn't we? Okay. I need to announce him. Yeah, I need to announce him. I need to get him to the stage. Okay, so now let's have some fun. So I'd like to call Sean Donnelly to come up to stage, please. Sean Donnelly. Okay, so Sean is also from England, so now there are two Englishmen on the stage. George Robertson Burnett, I appreciate this is going to feel like the Battle of Culloden all over again. So now we're going to auction some really special items. I'd also like to call, to help us to do this, two Rotary International staff members, Jamie Reevord and Amanda Ottman, to also come to stage, please. Okay, so the first item we have is a real collector's item. This is the official tie from incoming Rotary International President Holger Knaik. This tie here has been signed. It's official merchandise, not rip-off. Okay, so we'll now hand over to Sean, who's going to start an auction. Remember, all the proceeds from this auction go to the Rotary Foundation.
Thank you very much, Darryl. Good evening, my fellow Rotarians. Good evening, my fellow Rotarians. All right, we've got a fantastic opportunity this evening to raise some money for the greatest organisation in the world. So we want to have some great donations to Rotary this evening. So for this awesome tie, who's going to start the donation where? Can I get $500 bid where? $500 bid to buy. 500 bid to buy. 500 bid where? 500 here. 500 now 750. 500 bid now 750 with a bid 750. 500 bid now 750. Where's 750? 500 bid 750 bid now 1,000. 750 bid now 1,000. I'm 750 in the middle now looking for 1,000. 750 bid now 1,000. 750 bid now 1,000. I have $750 bid, now $1,000 bid, thank you in the middle. $1,000 bid, now $1,250. $1,000, $1,250 bid, thank you, now $15. $1,250 bid, now $1,500. $1,250 bid, now $1,500, would it be $1,500? $1,250 bid, now $1,500. $1,250 bid, now $1,500, who wants to be $1,500? $1,250 bid, now $1,500. One more go, come on, $1,250, $1,500, where? I'm $1,250 in the middle. I'll be selling for $1,250, $1,500 anywhere. I sold it, $1,250. Please raise your hand. Thank you very much. Right there in the middle. Yes, sir.
We've now got a second one.
Another one? Apparently we got another one, but we want more for this one. This one's really special because I'm holding it.
It's the last one.
You all thought Darryl talked funny. I'm from Lower Alabama. Anyway, right, I've got one more tie here. Same tie, right?
Yep.
Nap tie.
Signed.
Okie dokie.
And they're both signed.
Signature on the back.
They're signed up by Holger.
All right, give me $1,000 for this one. $1,000 bid where? $1,000 bid to buy. Thank you, ma'am. $1,000 bid now, $1,250. $1,000 bid now, $1,250. Bid to be $1,250. $1,000 bid at the front now, looking for $1,250. $1,000 bid now, $1,250. Anyone want to be $1,250? $1,250. Thank you, sir. $1,250 bid now, $1,500. $1,250 bid now, $1,500. Would it be $1,500? I got $1,250 bid now at the front now, looking for $1,500. $1,250 bid now, $1,500. Give me a big wave and a big shout. 12 and a bit now. 12 and a bit now, 1,500. Anyone want to be 1,500? I have $1,250 bid. I am looking for 1,500. I sold it. $1,250 in the middle. Thank you, sir.
Now a scarf signed by Holger.
Is this the last one?
No? Got one more thing after this?
No.
What's after this?
Female scarf signed by Holger. Official scarf.
All right, now we have an official ladies' scarf
Signed by Holger Knaik.
signed by Holden Clark. All right, for the lady in your life, or if you are the lady in your life, this is for you.
Let's go.
Awesome scarf. I want to see the gentlemen putting their hands up. Who's going to give me 500 bid now? 500 bid now, 500 now, 750. 750 at the back. 750 at the back. I'm 750 at the back now, 1,000. 750 bid now, 1,000. 750 bid now, 1,000. 750 bid now, 1,000. $1,000 bid now, 1,250. $1,000 bid now, 1,250. Who'll be 1,250? $1,000 bid now, 1,250. 1,250, thank you, man. 1,250 bid now, 1,500. 1,250 bid now, 1,500. Nobody on this side has bid yet. 1,250 here. 1,250 bid now, 1,500. 1,250 bid now, 1,500. Would it be 1,500? 1,250 bid. How about 1,300? I got 1,250, 13, thank you, man. Now 1,350, 1,350, thank you. Now 1,400, 1,350 bid now, 1,400, would it be 1,400? $1,350 bid now, looking for 1,400. $1,350 bid, I'm looking for 1,400. I sold it, $1,350, thank you again, thank you very much.
One more.
So we have one more item. The item is a bottle of rum. The bottle is signed by past President Barry Rassin. It's also signed by President-elect Holger Knet. And it's also signed by our past International Director, John Smarge. But before we start, I want to share a quote with you because this is for hand wash. In the words of Barry Rassin, our president 2018-2019, our dream is to bring potable water and good sanitation to the entire country of Haiti. Water is essential for good living conditions, and the people of Haiti deserve to have it. Rotary is proud to be an intricate part of this venture, to partner with the government and other agencies that have the expertise to create a transformational program for this country. So let's give it up.
Okay. All right, so we got this fantastic rum. Signed. It's awesome. Okay. All right, who's going to buy the bottle of rum? Give me 500 bid to buy it. 500 bid where? 500 bid now, 750. 500 bid now, 750. You want to be 750. 750 bid now. 750 bid now, 1,000. 750 bid now, 1,000. Would it be 1,000? $750 bid. I'm looking for 1,000. $1,000 bid, thank you. $1,000 bid now, 1,100. $1,000 bid now, 1,100. It'll be 1,100. $1,100 bid now, 12. $1,100 bid now, 12. Would it be 1,200? $1,100 bid out on the side. Now looking for 1,200. $1,100 bid now, 12. 1,200, thank you, sir. $1,200 bid now, 13. $1,200 bid now, 13. Would it be 1,300? $1,200 bid now, 1,300. 1,300. 13, thank you. Now 1,400. 14, thank you. Now 1,500. 1,400 bid now, 1,500. Would it be 1,500? I have 1,004. Now looking for 1,500. 15, thank you, sir. Now 16. 1,600, now 17. $1,600 bid now 17. $1,600 bid now 17. Would it be 1,700? $1,600 bid now 17. 17, thank you, sir. Now 18. $1,700 bid now 18. Would it be 18? $1,700 bid now 18. Would it be 1,800? 1,700 now 18. One more go. 1,700 now 18. 18. 1,800. Thank you, sir. $1,800 bid down 19. $1,800 bid down 19. Would it be 1,900? 19, thank you, sir. Now 2,000. 2,000, such a lovely round. Thank you, sir. $2,000 bid down 2,100. $2,000 bid down 2,100. One and only chance to buy it. 21, thank you, sir. $2,100 bid down 22. $2,100 bid down 22. I have 2,100. I'm looking for 2,200. One and only chance to buy it. 2,100 now. Looking for 2,200. I'll be selling it for 2,100. I've sold it. $2,100. Thank you, sir.
So thank you, Sean. Well done, Sean. That's great.
If you are one of the winning bidders, please see Eloy. I also want to thank Amanda and Jamie and Sean, and thank you all for your generosity.
First winner? Just a call for the first winner. Colleen. Okay, so please give me your attention as I have a few important announcements just before we finish. The doors to this majestic ballroom, where you are now, will open at 7:15 for breakfast. The program will start promptly at 7:30 tomorrow morning. Please be on time, please be seated. We've got some great wake-up activity, a great keynote speaker, also from England, George. Our speaker tomorrow is Chris Wells. And you're going to hear all about his do-goodery. You're encouraged to check out of your hotel room tomorrow morning before we start or immediately after breakfast, but before your focus area classes resume at 9 a.m. If you wish to avoid a line at the front desk, checkout is also available through your TV or phone in your hotel room. Once you've checked out of your rooms, a baggage storage area is provided for your convenience in Royal 1 room, Royal 1. Please consult your map. At the conclusion of pets, you can grab your bags and head for a safe journey home. If your district is having a hospitality room after this session, please continue to network with other club presidents and president-elects. Please also note that the lost and found articles are all being taken to the Pets office in the Sago room, which will reopen after breakfast tomorrow morning. Ask any of the sergeants at arms for directions if you've lost something. The hospitality for this evening continues. Please check with your district governor-elect for details. I think we all know by now where our district hospitality rooms are. I hope you continue to enjoy the fellowship of this evening while remembering the early and exuberant start to our day tomorrow. Have a great evening, and this plenary session is adjourned.
Just a small town girl living in a lonely world. She took the midnight train going anywhere. Just a city boy, born and raised in South Detroit. He took the midnight train going anywhere. A singer in a smoky room, the smell of wine and cheap perfume. For a smile they can share the night, it goes on.